So we're doing 2 different cases again.
Oh, yeah. Should we mention that?
Maybe.
There's a theme.
What's the theme?
Kinda couples.
Kinda couples?
Sounds like maybe yours isn't, though. It's a duo.
I mean, I think it's widely believed that something happened.
Sure.
But it's not like they didn't like hook up and start owning people together. Although, you'll find out. They did help each other out.
Okay.
In the legal system-ish.
That sounds like the opposite of mine.
Yeah. Who's your couple?
Ray and Faye Copeland.
That's fun. Ray
How do you
and
not marry
Faye.
someone with a rhyming name?
I'm doing Henry Lee Lucas and Ottis Toole. And Ottis Toole looks exactly like what his name makes him sound like.
Oh, I thought you were going to give me like a person or something, and I want to look it up, but I'm still going to look him up because I forget.
What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of someone named Ottis?
A dog.
He kind of looks like a dog, yeah.
Okay.
But when you hear his backstory, you're just going to be like, this poor guy. Kind of. Okay, but I'm going to kick things off with Henry Lee Lucas. A little bit of a backdrop on this fella. Born August 23rd, 1936, in a whopping 1-bedroom cabin in Blacksburg, Virginia. I think we know someone that was born in Blacksburg, and he's really annoying.
That's every possible person that we have in common.
No, think fish.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
Well, that's a game
I'm pretty
changer.
sure it was Blacksburg, though. Okay, so not much happens between the ages of 1 and 10 besides this kid just exhibits some extremely strange behavior to get attention because his mother and father just abuse the crap out of him. So does his brother. They got into a fight at age 10, and his brother kicked the crap out of him so bad, his eye got infected, and he lost it.
Oh, gross.
So by the age of 11, Henry Lee Lucas had a glass eye, and he was a borderline alcoholic.
I'm sorry, what age?
11.
Okay.
It seems pretty straightforward
Why not?
for Virginia kid in the 1930s. But on top of it, his mother was a prostitute.
Got to pay the bills.
His father lost his legs, both of them, in an accident, and then he had to make bootleg liquor and sell it.
Well, sure.
So his father was an alcoholic. His mother was a prostitute that forced him to dress up so she could pimp him out to the ladies and the guys. That's fun.
Can
Also,
I interrupt already?
I'd love you to.
While I'm listening, I'm just looking at pictures of him because why not? And I just came across this picture of him. Maybe it's Photoshop. How am I to know? But he's wearing a pink shirt. It says, Jesus, the real rock. And then like a button down that he's like ripping open. But don't worry, he's holding a cigarette in his hands. Again, could be Photoshop. How am I supposed to know? Or he likes the real rock. Jesus.
I think there's a show about him. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Oh.
Yeah. Maybe it's from that.
Probably.
I don't know. If it's a good quality photo, it's probably from that.
It's okay.
But I don't know. Here's something fun. I couldn't exactly figure out who Uncle Bernie was because it's in quotes. I think it might be somewhat of a family member, but his mother often had sex with this Uncle Bernie and forced little Henry to watch.
No.
Also, whenever she was with other clients. So if you want your son to turn out all right, don't make him watch you have sex with people.
Hey, that's a starter.
It's something to kick it off, or to kick, his parent situation in the pants even more. His father that has no legs gets drunk, goes outside while there's a blizzard going on. He just falls over, passes out, and then dies of hypothermia.
Sure.
It's fine. It's actually right before Christmas in 1949.
Sometimes I almost have hypothermia.
Listen,
It starts with the frostbite.
Just I'm not going to acknowledge this.
Okay.
Henry would go on to have an extended career in school, ending at grade 6, where he would drop out, run away from home, and then drift around Virginia. And then in 1951, he would maybe make his first false murder claim of Laura Burnsley after she refused his sexual advances. So he beat her unconscious and raped her. Maybe. I don't know. This person actually died.
Yeah, he probably did.
Maybe.
Someone
I
did.
believe it. I mean, someone had to, and this guy was definitely willing to claim it. So why not let him have it? June 10th, 1954, he was convicted on over 24 counts of burglary in and around Richmond, Virginia, while he was just drifting around. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison. He escaped in 1957, but was recaptured 3 days later, and then released September 2nd, 1959. So he was only in there for... See, he was sentenced for 4 years. He was in there for 3, escaped, and then he was back in there for the remainder of his sentence. Plus a little bit more.
Well, he tried.
I guess. After he got out of prison in late 1959, he moved in with his half-sister, Opal, in Michigan. And I don't know how this happens, but he got engaged to a pen pal that he had in prison.
Good for him.
I don't know how you develop feelings for someone like that just over writing some letters back and forth.
Was this the 50s?
Yes.
It's just like app dating, you know?
Yes. It just takes a really long time
There's
to see which way the swipe goes.
But maybe you just doodle a picture of yourself.
He just drew a picture of
Hey,
like
this
some
is
stick
kind of what I look
figures.
like.
He's
Use
like
your imagination.
doing some push-ups.
Oh.
Stick figure has like little bumps on his arms. Getting strong.
I'm sure it's what happened.
Okay. But his mother enters the picture again over Christmas break. She comes down to visit Henry and Opal in Michigan, and she's just irate at the fact that he's engaged to this pen pal of his. She's like, I don't approve. You need to come back
Mothers
home
never approve.
with your mother and take care of me because I'm getting old. So on January 11th, 1960, they launch into some big argument over this, and Lucas kills his mom. Just like
Why
that.
not?
So Lucas claims that his mother hit him over the head with a broom, like a cartoon. And so he stabbed her in the neck.
It's called self-defense. Look it up.
Yeah, exactly. So afterwards, Lucas would say, all I remember was slapping her alongside the neck. But after I did that and I saw her fall, I decided to grab her. But she fell to the floor, and when I went to pick her up, I realized she was dead. I noticed that I had my knife in my hand and she had been cut.
So
Oops.
he accidentally slapped her with a knife in his, like he forgot the knife was in his hand when he slapped her neck.
I guess.
No, he lied.
He just
lied.
casually holding a knife and you just go to slap someone, you know?
He lied. I don't. Okay. It's a terrible story to tell, you know?
Yeah.
On his part.
So-
Come up with a better lie. So she came at me first with the knife.
Exactly.
Or just the broom.
Listen, if you're gonna just stab your mother in the neck, just own up to it. Just
Or,
be
yeah.
like, that bitch hit me in the head with a broom.
She had it coming. She ruined my childhood.
So he runs away like a little bitch. Opal comes
okay.
back and she's like, oh no, my mom. Literally, she's still alive, laying in a pool of her own blood on the floor. Mm-hmm. She calls the ambulance, but it doesn't work out. She dies. So Henry's mother is out of the picture. Probably for the best after the whole prostitute thing. But official report states that she died of a heart attack caused by the assault and not the assault itself. I don't know.
I mean,
Do you think you'd have a heart attack if your future son stabbed you in the neck? Or do you think you would just die from bleeding?
a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, what do I know? Do I look like I'm a doctor?
Okay. Lucas would be arrested in Ohio because he's on the run. He's still claiming self-defense. The claim was rejected, and that landed him in jail on a sentence of 20 to 40 years for second-degree murder. He served 10 years in prison and was released in June 1970 because of prison overcrowding.
They were really nice back in the day.
They're just like, let this guy out.
Okay.
He's fine. His mother was a bitch.
Yeah. What's another 30 years? You don't need it. You learned a lesson, probably. You're not going to kill your mom again. She's already dead.
About learning lessons.
Oh.
We're looking at the release in June of 1970. Enter 1971. He tries kidnapping 3 schoolgirls.
Well, he was okay for maybe a year.
Okay. So he's convicted of the kidnapping. But in the meantime, he's established a relationship with a family friend that just happens to be a single mom. Again, in prison. I don't know how he's like, I'm in prison. It's like a ladies' magnet. Does that work?
I don't know. I'm sure maybe somehow I could be suckered into having a prison pen pal.
I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't come across that. I'd be a little embarrassed.
If I ever land in jail, I'm going to try it. I'm just going to start
sending. What else are you going to do to pass the time?
Sending letters out. I don't know. Maybe it's just the time, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, anyways, he gets out of prison again, and they're married. They get married upon his release in 1975. By the way, he was in jail for 5 years.
Yeah, I did the math.
Okay. He would leave the marriage after 2 years because she had the audacity to accuse him of sexually abusing her daughters.
All right.
It's just one thing after another with this guy.
I can't even.
No, what?
I don't even know. I mean, based on his childhood,
yeah,
he probably sexually abused his stepchildren. And how dare she accuse him?
How dare she?
He left that anyways.
So,
you didn't get arrested for shit like that back then.
Just a slap on the wrist. He didn't get arrested for it, actually.
Was it ever reported? Do we know? I mean, maybe after the matter.
Maybe.
Who knows? Anyways, I'll just listen.
They wouldn't have believed her at the time anyways. He would have gotten away with it. Yeah. Anyways, okay. So, a relative gets him a job in West Virginia, so he's like, well, I guess I'm going to West Virginia.
Seems fitting.
And he meets another lady.
Well, naturally.
But guess what? Her family intervenes and says, are you abusing our daughter? And he's like, yes. So he leaves. I shouldn't be laughing, but it's kind of funny at this point. It's just, it's so ridiculous.
A theme going for himself.
Yes. And this is where our love connection happens.
All right.
He befriends
for this.
Ottis Toole, who lives in Jacksonville, Florida. He just says, you know what? I'm going south. Florida's a fine place.
That's where murderers like to be.
Yeah. They hooked up at a soup kitchen. I don't know why I said soup.
I'm just trying to take it all in. Then you pointed out the soup.
Soup. Okay. So they meet in the soup kitchen. They become best friends forever. Mm-hmm. And somehow he moves in with this guy's parents. He moves in with Toole's parents.
Sure.
And his niece that lives with them. Guess what the fuck happens next?
Whose niece? Toole's niece?
Toole's niece.
All right, well, she probably gets sexually abused.
Listen, first of all.
I'm just guessing.
It's called love.
In his eyes?
And listen.
Okay.
You're going to find out.
How old is she?
You're going to find out. She's 15.
Okay, and that's better than I was expecting you to tell me she was like 8 years old.
She has a mild intellectual impairment.
Uh-huh.
And has a really bad habit of landing herself in juvenile detention centers. Her name is Becky Powell. Okay? This is Ottis Toole's niece.
Sure.
Lucas and Toole are working as roofers and fixing cars in the neighborhood. Becky Powell gets put into a state shelter after her parents and her grandmother die in 1982. So he's in Florida for a while. Okay, things are kind of quiet. But here, Lucas is like, why don't you just run away with me? And she's like, okay. So they go to California.
That's what 15-year-olds do.
I guess. I just don't know. Okay. So here's our next character, Kate Rich. 82-year-old lady. She runs all these businesses. She's like the puppet master.
That's how I want to be when I'm 82.
Yeah. So he gets a job, and it's under this Kate Rich lady. And after a little while, she's like, this guy's a piece of shit. He's not doing his job, and he's writing checks under my account names for things that aren't required for the job. So she's like, get the fuck out of here. So in August of 1982, Lucas drove Kate Powell, his lady, to a field in Denton, Texas. Okay.
Wait. Did you say Kate Powell?
Becky Powell.
Okay.
Sorry. Kate Rich.
I was almost
Becky
zoning,
Powell.
and I'm like, wait, no, you made a mistake.
I made a mistake.
I'm going to call you out. You're combining
you.
these two women.
Thank you.
All right. Anyways.
They both die, so it really doesn't matter. But
Shocker. I honestly didn't see it coming. I thought Kate was the hero of this one.
I mean, she could have been.
All right.
But she shouldn't have fired him. So, okay. Moral of the story is Lucas kills Becky Powell, scatters her body all over
Why does he kill her?
this field because there's really no good reason.
She's probably just like crying or something. He's probably sick of it.
She wants to leave him. It's fine. Okay. So.
Boys, girls.
His love is dead. His 15-year-old girlfriend is dead. So then he goes after Kate because it's all her fault.
She pissed him off.
Exactly. So, they still haven't found Powell's body. He recruits Kate's help and says, hey, would you like to come with me? Help look for her. I'm kind of distraught over here. My lady's missing. So they're riding around. They end up in Ringgold, Texas at a camping ground. He kills her and stuffs her body in a drainage pipe. Boom. Done. Both of these trouble-causing ladies are out of his life.
Okay.
And his mom's dead, so really things are looking up.
He's just got a problem with women.
You say a problem, bippity boppity, I don't know.
Oh, jeez. So anyways.
Okay, anyways. Lucas gets arrested by a Texas Ranger. I just left Texas Ranger.
Are Texas Rangers still a thing?
Is
that what they call their cops? Is that what they are? No.
Texas Rangers,
I
believe, are like special cops. Yeah, Texas Rangers are.
The hierarchies.
They're Texas Rangers used to be badasses.
Yeah,
they're the ones who used to fight the Indians.
That you said it.
It's fun, and he's got like the most Texas name ever, Phil Ryan. 2 first names.
How is that the most Texas name ever?
Besides, like, Texas
the most
leather
Texas
shoe
name
or something.
ever is Hank Hill.
Hank Hill's, yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Well, Phil Ryan, 2 first names. You can't trust him. So he's arrested in 1983 by this Phil Ryan for unlawful possession of a firearm. While Lucas is in prison for this, he's like, you know what? I killed Becky Powell, Kate Rich. And then he was like, I'll lead you to their bodies. So he did.
Why is he telling them?
I don't know. He's got this plan, and it worked for a while. Okay, so here it goes. Forensic evidence was inconclusive, but they're like, this guy's great. He just cooperates. So this guy just goes on a false confession spree. He confesses to so many crimes. They actually form like a task force around him.
Wow. It's like that one show. Do you know what show I'm talking about?
No.
It's a Cooler Criminal. You can't remember what it's called. It's on Netflix. I've seen most of it. It's on Netflix.
Is it on Netflix?
He just like gives himself up to the FBI and he's like, I'm this like notorious criminal guy, and if you let me work with this one specific FBI agent, the cute girl, who
Oh,
plot twist now, like she's probably his daughter, but they never actually confirm. I'm sure someone knows what I'm talking about if they're listening. Anyways,
probably not. You're probably just making all this
I'm
up.
probably giving a terrible description of the show.
Okay. So, at first, he's treated really poorly. Lucas claims that he is stripped down and kept naked. They denied him cigarettes and bedding, which is just terrible.
Wow.
They put him in a cold cell and tortured his genitalia. Didn't allow him any contact with an attorney. So he's just like, I'm just going to keep confessing and hopefully they,
Okay.
change their mind. So the Lucas Task Force, it's called, has James B. Adams as its leader, which is actually the Texas Department director, the director of the Texas Department of Public Safety. They cleared 213 unsolved cases because this guy just kept saying, yeah, I did it.
So they weren't really clearing them.
So that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they found out later on that he was given access to like walk around the prisons with security clearances and he was able to read case files. So it seems like this guy was just walking around reading case files and building a plausible story in his head. He would be questioned. He would answer appropriately and say, well, fuck yeah, I did it.
He had to have been a little bit smart.
A little bit.
Yeah.
He had to be crafty. So yeah, it's really kind of outed by a journalist named Hugh Ainsworth. He's like, the way this all works, he would have had to travel, I think, something like 11,000 miles in an old shitty station wagon within a ridiculous time frame to pull off all these crimes.
I wish I had one of those old school station wagons,
Okay, psycho.
I'm just saying, they look cool. My first car was classified as a station wagon.
Oh.
It was a Toyota RAV4.
A RAV4?
It was old ones.
Old one?
They were cool.
Whatever, nerd. Anywho, yeah. This journalist is like, you're full of shit. And then everyone's like, I think he is full of shit.
Yep.
And there's really only one popular case that he took credit for. It went unsolved for a long time. And then evidence was like, hey, you couldn't have done this.
What was the case?
It was the murder of one then unknown woman named as Orange Socks that was later identified as Deborah Jackson.
Did you say Orange Socks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was her name until they figured out who she was. Orange Socks.
Who wears orange socks?
Apparently Deborah Jackson.
Okay.
So she was killed on Halloween in 1979.
Maybe that's why she's wearing orange socks.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably. Actually, you make a very good point.
Yeah. She was dressed up for the holiday.
Christ. Okay.
It's part of her costume.
But, Lucas was like, hey, I killed her. But he has a record on a timesheet recording his presence for work in Jacksonville, Florida at that time. So really, Lucas was convicted of a lot of life sentences, but after everything came down, they re-looked at everything. They realized that this police department was just using him to quote unquote close cases just to get him off the books. So pretty much every life sentence he had was or death sentence was changed to life in prison in 1998 by then Governor George W. Bush.
Oh.
Wow. And then he died of heart failure in prison, March 12th, 2001 at 11 p.m. He was 64 years old. He's in an unmarked grave because, well, people would like to fuck with him then.
For sure.
Okay. That took a long time. I'm sorry.
Did it?
Maybe.
I don't know. I've just been making sound effects.
I feel like I've been talking forever. But now we're on to Ottis Toole.
Okay.
You'll see that there's very little overlap, but I think there was some hanky-panky going on.
The internet made them seem like they were a thing together.
Okay. Well, Ottis Toole, we're starting in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
He had an alcoholic father too, but he was like, fuck this kid, I'm leaving. And
Hey,
he left.
what are dads for?
Again, something in common. His mother was abusive, not a prostitute, but dressed him up in girls' clothing and called him Susan.
She wanted a daughter.
I guess so. Otis would claim that he was the victim of incest and sexual assault from various relatives and acquaintances, including his older sister and his next door neighbor. Your face is great.
Gross.
His grandmother was a Satanist, and she would include him in satanic practices.
Now that sounds a little bit cool.
Including self-mutilation.
Nope.
And grave robbing.
Okay, well, you have me at grave robbing.
And she dubbed him...
Not that I would do that. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. It just sounds cool. I'll shut up.
She dubbed him Devil's Child. I just imagine that's how she said it. It's a grandma.
In like a witch sounding way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How else would it sound? You're ridiculous.
Okay.
Okay. Toole would claim that all of this abuse started because he came out as a homosexual to his family.
No.
It's possible at that time.
Back in the day.
It's often said that he suffers from mild mental retardation with an IQ of 75. I don't know. He also suffered from epilepsy that resulted in frequent grand mal seizures.
What's a grandma seizure?
Grand mal seizure.
Oh, I heard grandma. I
There's
don't know.
seizures coming from his satanic grandmother.
Hey. Maybe she's like sacrificing a lamb and was like, "Don't give him a seizure."
I don't know. I think his grandma liked him. That'd be fucking rude.
I don't know.
Okay, so anyway, this guy's like, fuck this family. He runs away, lives in a series of abandoned houses for a while, and then realizes, I really like fire, and it gets him aroused. So that's where we're at right now. He claims that his father's friend forced him to have sex when he was 5 years old. Not good.
Gross.
He understood that he was gay by the age of 10 and claims to have had a sexual relationship with a boy in the neighborhood when he was 12. This guy had a longer school career than our previous fella. He dropped out in 9th grade. And then he just began going to gay bars and became a male prostitute in his later teen years. And he also became really obsessed with gay pornography. His first murder claim would be a traveling salesman. He just was like, hey, you want to like hook up? And the guy was like, no. So he ran him over with his car.
Hey, well,
It's
what
fine.
you get.
It's fine. Toole was first arrested in August 1965 when he was 17 for loitering. Wouldn't have expected that from other things that he's done.
Right.
But he would leave Jacksonville, and he actually became the prime suspect in a few murder cases between the years of 1966 and 1973. A lot is not known about what he did during these years. He was just pretty quiet. But it's believed that he just moved around the southwestern United States, supporting himself with prostitution and panhandling. 1974, he became the prime suspect of the murder of a 24-year-old Patricia Webb in Nebraska. 1 month later, he would end up in Boulder, Colorado, and became the suspect in the homicide of 31-year-old Ellen Holman, who was murdered on October 14th, 1974. And he was like, I can't take all these accusations. The world is mean. I'm going back home. So, January 14th, 1976, back in his hometown, he married a woman 25 years older than him. And she left him after 3 days because he's like, this guy's gay. And he's like, yep, that was a cover.
So, like, How long do they know each other before they got married? Not that you have that information.
I don't know.
But if it only took you 3 days to figure it out, like, did you not know him until you married him?
I feel, well, okay, so 25 years older than him. I figure maybe he's just a sweet talker, and he's like, maybe they had a drink or two, and then he's like, you want to get married? It's not the craziest thing that's happened. We are talking about a Florida man.
Yeah, it's Florida. I'm going to move to Florida.
Yeah. So Toole and Lucas are together at this point.
Okay.
In likely like friendship, friends with benefits situation. I don't know. But they work together to like confess to crimes. So before, whenever I said that Lucas was going on this long stint of just confessing to crimes, Toole started doing this along with Henry before they were in prison, which is a little confusing.
Okay.
Right? Okay. In total, they both confessed to over 1,000 murders.
Why?
Which
Just
seems
why?
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, at least go for something reasonable. And some of these crimes were committed under the claim of a cult called the Hands of Death.
Do you think that's still a thing?
Maybe. I mean, probably still in Florida. I'm pretty sure they just don't wear masks. I don't know.
I'm just looking for a new cult to join, you know?
Okay, sure. So right now we're at January 4th, 1982. Toole would trap 65-year-old George Sonneberg. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it or not. Traps him in a boarding house in Jacksonville and sets it on fire. And poor George died a week later from injuries. Toole was arrested on April 1st for unrelated arson charges and would confess to the crime against George Sonnenberg. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison. His confession states that he and George started a sexual relationship, and the two had an argument. So he was like, "I'm going to set this house on fire." So during the trial of George Sonnenberg, Toole claimed that he did not light the house on fire, but only signed the confession to be extradited back to Jacksonville. I don't understand enough legal stuff.
I don't understand enough in general.
Maybe we should get better at this. You know,
I'll find a book.
Yeah, like legal jargon and stuff. So I had just assumed he was arrested elsewhere,
right?
Confessed, and they would send him back to Jacksonville to be put on trial, right?
Why not?
I don't know. But April 28th, 1984, jury found Toole guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced him to death. Later that year, Toole was found guilty of the strangulation of a 19-year-old woman from Tallahassee, Florida, and received a second death sentence. However, again, just like Henry, both sentences were commuted to life in prison instead of death sentences. While he was incarcerated, he pled guilty to 4 more murders, solo, not with Lucas. And he would receive another life in sentence for each. The biggest thing for Ottis Toole was the murder of Adam Walsh, which was a 6-year-old boy, which he confessed to the murder of in 1981. So Toole states that he picked up Adam Walsh in a Sears Mall parking lot by offering him candy and toys. Original. Walsh started to cry and said that he wanted to go home, so Toole repeatedly punched him in the face until he knocked
That's one way to get a kid to shut up.
Eventually, Toole would pull over in a rural area and decapitate the boy with a machete.
Oh, okay.
He got rid of his body but kept his head in the car and rode around for a while.
Don't like that.
He forgot about the head.
How do you forget about the head?
I don't know. But then he found it. He's like, oh, there's a head here. So he just tossed it into a nearby canal. Now, kicker, it took them until 2008 to say that he did this because somehow the police lost Toole's car and the machete that had been impounded with all the bloodstains in.
Hey, who needs evidence?
I don't know how you lose a car.
A whole car.
I can understand a machete getting misplaced, but a whole car of someone that apparently killed a 6-year-old, I don't understand.
I don't know.
But in 2008, the case was closed and the police were like, hey, this guy actually did this. Toole died of cirrhosis in I almost said Florida Penn State.
That's weird.
Woo! Florida State Prison on September 15th, 1996. He was 49 years old, and the sad part is his body went unclaimed. So it was just buried in the prison cemetery. I don't know why, but I find that like the most sad thing in this entire spiel. That no one claimed his body. They were like, fuck that guy.
Who cares?
Anyway, that's all I got.
Not even.
Do you have any questions for me?
No.
No?
Never.
You took in all that and you understand everything, even though I definitely didn't deliver it well.
Nope, I'm still just thinking about Florida Penn State. Yeah,
I don't know why that almost came out of my mouth. I probably could have left that to myself.
I probably wouldn't even have noticed.
You wouldn't have noticed that, but you noticed me mixing up the names of two women.
Yes.
When you were barely listening.
Yes.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
Well, because Kate stood out to me. Because that's my alter ego.
It was spelled with a K, too.
That's when I'm being a Karen. That's when Kate comes out.
Okay. Or an old man talks to you.
What is that? Like every old man. Hey, Kate.
I don't know.
They just can't accept the letter I.
Maybe it makes them seem less creepy to themselves. Because it sounds like
I don't know.
Like a woman's name.
The one guy I don't think cares if he's creepy.
Probably not.
The rest of them probably care. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it.
It's your turn now.
Okay, are we ready?
What are you waiting for?
I don't know. Just like the okay to go.
Go.
I don't like it.
No?
No,
I don't like it either. So
okay, so Ray and Faye Copeland. They were the oldest couple ever sentenced to death in the United States. That's their little introduction.
Oh, that's fun.
Faye was 69 and Ray was 76 at the time. So just the quick overview. They were convicted of killing 5 drifters at their farm in Mooresville, Missouri. And Faye was the oldest woman ever on death row. So I assume that means there were older men on death row, but he was just at the time the oldest man, I guess, sentenced to death.
Setting records.
Yeah.
I like that.
So good for them. All right, so a little bit about Faye. So she was born on August 4th, 1921 in Harrison, Arkansas. She was a factory worker and a motel maid.
Wow.
Her and Ray, they got married in 1940. And then just to skip ahead, she's convicted in 1999. She does get the death penalty, but it gets changed to life imprisonment. She does not actually receive the death penalty. That got changed in 1999, so I guess like probably 9 years on death row. But hey, whatever. They're looking up for her.
That's a lot of time just to wait.
And in 2002, she gets paroled, but we'll get back to that later.
Wow. Okay.
And then she dies in 2003.
Oh, geez.
Hey, she's old.
I guess.
Some Ray information. He's born on December 30th, 1914 in Oklahoma. That's about as much as they had.
Okay.
They don't know where. I don't know. Or I just didn't. No, I don't think I said anything. Oh my God. I lost my spot. Okay.
Focus.
I'm like still like the first little paragraph too. I don't know how I lost my spot. He had a couple of different jobs. He was a cattle farmer. He was a thief. He was a swindler. He was a forger. And he was a killer.
All right. I expected a bunch of just normal dude jobs after you started with.
Well, you start with a positive.
Yeah. And then it just downhill.
He liked to make money a certain way.
I guess honest wasn't it?
No. So he's convicted in 1991, charged with murder, gets the death penalty, dies of the death penalty.
Good for him.
He was the real problem in the relationship. Faye, it's debatable.
Not going to say anything.
We'll wait until you hear he's the real problem.
Okay.
All right. So I have some information too about like just his little family life. So he's born, kind of before the Great Depression like sinks in, and his family, they just struggle the whole time.
Okay.
So what do you do when you're a kid? You start your petty crime early in life.
Sure.
Yeah. As like, I don't know. I didn't, I guess, have an exact age. Teenager, young adult years. He starts stealing livestock. He starts forging checks.
Stealing livestock?
Yeah, livestock.
That seems hard.
Lifestyle. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm sure back then, like, there wasn't good ways to track it. I don't know. Were there even fences?
Were there even fences?
The cattle.
I think so. I think there were fences.
They're always in the streets.
Okay.
This is like Oklahoma,
Okay.
Okay. But he gets caught like right away. So they put him in jail for a year. They let him out. He meets Faye.
Wow.
They immediately get married.
See, immediately.
They immediately have children. Why wait? Maybe I'll find it later on in my notes, but I don't think it ever said how many children they had, or I just couldn't find it.
Probably at least 3.
I'm sure they lost count.
You need a bunch of hands to steal chickens.
Right. So, Ray keeps up the criminal lifestyle. He's got mouths to feed. So they start moving around because, he never had money. You got to go to new places when you keep breaking the law.
Yeah, of course.
So while he's married, while he's having children, he's in jail all the time. He's just always getting caught for like stealing cattle.
So he's not a good
forging
criminal.
checks. No, he sucks.
Okay.
But don't worry. Whenever he gets released again, I don't know what time, he comes up with a plan.
Okay.
He's going to make money illegally still, but he's not going to get detected anymore. So he is just so well established as being a fraud. He can't even buy or sell cattle on his own now. No one, like his name comes up, they're like, hell no.
No.
They see his face, get out.
Wow. That's impressive.
So he starts picking up these drifters, these hobos. Hey, I'm going to employ you. You're going to be my farmhand.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, and by now they've relocated to Mooresville, Missouri. They have their farm.
Okay. He
sends his little drifters off to buy cattle for him. Using bad checks still, don't worry. They're not real checks.
Okay,
Yep. And so then he would just like try and sell the cattle as quickly as he could. Get the drifters to disappear. Be like, that was your one job. Get out. You've served your purpose.
Okay.
This worked for a little bit for him. But eventually the police caught him. Go figure. He goes back to jail. So he gets released again.
Jeez.
Guess what he does?
This is exhausting.
Guess what he does? He just tries to tweak this idea a little bit more.
Okay, so is this where he gets a drifter, gets him to buy stuff, and then he just kills him?
I mean, he could have been killing some of them before. It's debatable how many they killed.
Okay.
But yeah, no, he just wants to not get caught.
I'm getting anxious just
he
listening.
thought before he was too connected to the drifters. They knew him. Like they were like, oh yeah, Ray Copeland. Yeah, he hired me to buy cattle.
This guy, he's a piece of shit.
He's breaking the law. So he's gonna hire the drifters. He's not gonna like have any relationship with them now. So they're managing now. I don't know the timeline of everything, but like they got married in the 40s. He's breaking the law until they get caught in 89.
Okay.
And I mean, he's in and out of jail like the whole time.
So is 89 when they get the
it's
big
their
arrest?
Final run.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there was this guy, Jake McCormick. He was one of the, I assume, a drifter. It doesn't, I guess, really clarify. It just referred to him as a former employee, but I don't think he had real employees. I think he only was hiring people passing through.
Okay.
This guy, Jake McCormick, there's a Crime Stopper hotline.
Oof.
Yeah. So he calls that in August of 1989. Tells them all about the Copelands. He's like, I'm pretty sure I saw human bones on their farm, and Ray tried to kill me.
Oh, yeah. He also tried to kill me.
Yeah. The police, they were a little skeptical, but they're like, but this guy, Ray Copeland, he's always in jail. Maybe we should check it out. So they get a search warrant a few months later in October to go investigate the Copeland farm.
Okay.
They took a dozen officers. So at first they're like, is this...
dozen?
Yeah. And it didn't say how many. It just said a team of bloodhounds.
Wow.
So like they go from being like, this is a skeptical claim to we better have
to like
a lot of reinforcements. Yeah. So I don't know. They're just doing a quick skim over. They're not seeing anything. And then I don't know where they look, but suddenly they find 3 bodies in a barn. So like we better keep searching. Stuff's turning up. And then they found more bodies.
Wow.
So the ones that they found, they were all killed the same way. Ray Copeland, we assume, shot them all in the back of the head with a rifle that he had. And then, just dig a little, like, shallow grave for them, bury them, tuck them
Kick them into the dirt.
Yeah. They just assume his motive was just money. Doesn't really care. They serve their purpose.
Okay.
They got him cattle. He can sell the cattle.
I see how he's the problem in the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's Faye doing this whole time?
Just making some great dinners, probably.
Okay. No, she's not cooking the people that we know of.
Oh.
But, so they said one of the disturbing things, not the dead bodies, not finding like bones and skulls on the farm, which is why they probably did kill more that they just couldn't identify.
Mm-hmm.
Faye would just take some of the victims' clothing and make it into a quilt. So she's got to be aware.
That's...
She knows that he's killing these people. But the whole time, when she's being like interrogated and stuff once they're caught, she says, I don't know anything about the murders. She's playing dumb.
That's incredible.
So this whole time, she's like, no. Don't know that. Didn't know he's killing people. I had nothing to do with it. I don't know if they're asking her about the quilt or what, but they offer her a deal to change her charge of murder to conspiracy to commit murder. I don't really know. And they want her to give like more information about the missing men. I think they conclude there's 7 more possible victims based off bones and stuff from the farm.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they had like a registry of farmhand helpers or something somewhere.
Okay.
And that might have been from before when he's like, I'm too connected to them. I don't really know.
Okay.
But she's like, no, I'm not helping because I didn't kill anyone.
Wow.
I don't know.
Just going
I didn't
down
know
with
anything.
her man.
So, now, yeah,
Ish?
we'll see. We'll see.
Okay. Okay.
So then Faye is like, no, I know nothing. I've been stuck in this abusive relationship with this guy, Ray. Clearly he's abusive. He's killing people.
Hey, he could have been like a good husband.
He could have been. We really don't know. She could have been lying.
Yeah.
They said if she would have taken that deal, she would have spent less than a year in prison. But since she didn't, they just assumed she was involved. So death row it is for Faye. Didn't work out for her. So she goes to trial first. Well, or she went to trial first, if you read my notes. So the best her defense people could do for her is like, oh, she was just this dedicated wife and mother who had to endure beatings and ill treatment from Ray. But it didn't work. So they convicted her on 4 counts of murder and 1 count of manslaughter. I don't know how the one's different.
Where are their kids through all this?
Who freaking knows? There's like no mention of these kids.
Wait, okay, so what was the span of like them hiring farmhands?
I'm not sure when it exactly started. They got married in the 40s. They drifted around a lot. And I'm sure at the beginning, he's just doing like forging checks, petty crime stuff.
And they started having kids right away.
Right. They immediately, it didn't say when they had their first kid, but it was pretty early on in their marriage.
Uh-huh.
And I don't have a date that they get their farm in Mooresville.
It's interesting.
But I assume whenever they get to that farm is when they start working with drifters.
Right. Huh.
The kids could be grown and out of the house by then. It's possible.
Maybe. But I think it was really common back then for like kids to stick around and like help with the farm.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe they killed their kids.
Maybe it was a missed opportunity that I didn't look into the children's lives because I guess I didn't care.
You're going to let everyone down.
Whatever. Look it up yourself.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Where am I at? I lost my place again.
Good job.
Okay. So, yeah, 4 counts of murder and 1 count of manslaughter for Faye. So she gets 4 death sentences and life without parole for the manslaughter. And then Ray goes to trial. I wrote trial again. I don't know.
You're really on fire.
It didn't have red squiggles. I didn't know I made a mistake. So, I mean, they're only like, she goes to trial at the end of 1999. He goes at the beginning of 1991, but they just had separate trials. He is convicted immediately. 5 counts of murder, sentenced to death. He tried to plead insanity at first, but they were like, no. Like, you're smart enough to come up with these, like, ideas of, okay, get the drifters to get the cattle, I'll sell it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
like,
there was a clear
insane.
plan there. It wasn't just killing
Right.
people.
They tell Ray that Faye is sentenced to death by lethal injection, and he had absolutely no emotion, and he responded to them by saying, well, those things happen to some, you know?
It's from all those years of eating dry pork chops.
Probably, yeah.
Probably her fault.
So
Maybe that's why he was so crazy.
So he's on
Bad
death
meals.
row. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a mystery because Faye was like, I didn't do a thing. I know nothing. Maybe she was involved. And then she's like, fuck that guy, Ray. He can suffer for this. He was the one shooting them in the head. And then Ray's like, oh, Faye's getting canned for it. Don't care.
Sucks to suck.
That's her own problem. She knew I was a criminal when I came out of jail and she married me.
That is true.
Yeah.
She kind of knew what she was signing up for.
Yeah.
I don't know. And you live on a farm. She could have just like killed him in his sleep or something.
Yeah.
You know? There's
some
like
different-
farm tools, obviously guns.
At least one rifle.
At least one. I
So-
don't know.
So Ray's on death row too, but he dies of natural causes before his death sentence in 1993. Just dies naturally.
Just playing tricks on the legal system.
I mean, he was old.
I don't know. I think he had a good run.
I mean, for the amount of crimes he committed, he didn't get death row until he was almost dead, and then he died naturally first.
Yeah. Huh.
Okay, so back to Faye. Her attorneys are appealing her conviction because they were just like, the jury, they didn't get to hear all the evidence about Ray abusing her for years. So some Judge Orty Smith, did overturn the death sentence, but let all the convictions stand. They changed her to just life without parole. So she's just going to be in prison forever.
Oh.
But then in 2002, she had a stroke and it left her partially paralyzed and unable to speak. So a few months after that, or a month after that, I guess, and I'm assuming this is still in Missouri, the governor at the time, Bob Holden, he authorized a medical parole for Faye, which she said her one wish was to not die in prison. I didn't know what medical parole was. I looked it up. It's just like a compassionate release.
Okay.
It's not based on her behavior or anything. She could have been shitty in prison. They don't care. But just since she had the stroke or whatever, they're
I get
doing a
that.
nice thing.
Yeah.
So she gets sent to a nursing home back in her hometown. No, but
I'm not sure a nursing home is any better than dying in prison, but
Well, there she died of natural causes. Oh, here it is. They had 5 children total.
okay.
I don't know. It's at the end of my notes. And
Oh.
17 grandchildren.
Jesus. So that's why they weren't helping on the farm. They were doing other things.
Okay, but there are 5 known victims they were able to identify of their names. Dennis Murphy, he was from Illinois. What they figured out, he would have been killed October 17th, 1986. Potentially their first victim.
Okay.
Could have been more prior. Don't know. Wayne Warner, also from Illinois, killed November 19th, 1986. Then Jimmy Dale Harvey, he was from Missouri, killed October 25th, 1988. John Freeman from Indiana, killed December 8th, 1988. And then Paul Cowart from Arkansas, killed May 1st, 1989. Those were the ones they were able to identify. Again, there were possibly like 7 more. that they just could never figure out who they were. These ones were like the bodies that they just left on the farm, though.
Right.
So.
Yeah, imagine just finding scattered parts, like bones and stuff. You're not going to be able to do much with that.
Yeah. Not
Maybe
back then,
today,
I guess. Yeah.
But who knows?
So Ray, one of his great nephews, Sean Granger, if I said that right, I don't know. He wrote a comic book called Family Bones, which is a fictionalized version of the story.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, he's probably like, hey, these are my great aunt and uncles that killed people. I'm going to make a comic book out
Get a
of
load
it.
of this shit.
Yeah. There was also a play inspired by them called Temporary Help.
It's a weird name.
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
I guess not.
They're
Yeah.
temporary help.
Yeah.
And then the case was in a couple of like related TV things like Forensic Files, and then other ones that weren't commonly known that I didn't care about, but people know what Forensic Files is.
Sure.
And that's all I really got about them.
So our theme was like couples or something like
There's
that.
one main problem person.
Do you feel like these guys, well, obviously that one was like,
They're married.
yeah, but it's just weird. It's
They
like,
probably didn't kill anyone.
there's no proof. It's just funny because in both of ours, there's no proof of collaboration, I guess,
Right.
which is interesting. I wonder how many are actually out there that are like actively working together to stuff away the bodies.
I can't imagine that happens very often.
I don't know. I think it's pretty rare just to have one person lose their marbles enough to kill other people, let alone two, and then them find each other and get along well enough to get married or something.
It's 2020. There might be an app for it.
If not, could make one.
I'm not having any part in that.
I think there's probably going to be some legal issues with that.
Government will just like know right away and stop you.
Or it's just a honeypot. They let me make it and they just keep track of everyone that's on the app. And they're like, okay, well, watch these two.
It's just going to be all those like weirdos that like never leave their own home and they're just bored and they're like, oh, yeah, I kill people. Want to meet up? No, you don't? Okay.
Yeah, me neither. My hot pockets are done.
Exactly.
I'm getting off. All right. So you're done?
I'm done.
I'm done. Well, that was fun. I kind of like the separate stories. I don't know about you.
I kind of like it, but I kind of like the big stories too.
We'll just have to keep mixing it up.
Okay, but next one's
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it for us.
I didn't learn how to say goodbye in Portuguese yet. Maybe next time.
Well, you're a failure. And
It's not on my lessons yet.
Okay. So before we go, thanks for listening.
Uma menina.
And what'd you just say to me?
A girl in Portuguese. It's my new favorite thing to say.
Okay. That you need to learn how to say leave us a rating or follow us or subscribe wherever you're listening. That's not it.
That was a boy in
But
Portuguese.
thank you. And
Auf Wiedersehen.
we're done. Bye.
I said it in German.